My husband of 40 years thought I'd cry forever. I learned how to smile while plotting. I smiled sweetly at Robert as I served him breakfast, the same way I'd done for 40 years. He didn't notice the divorce papers hidden in my recipe book. He didn't see the secret bank account I'd been filling for 6 months. He definitely didn't know about the evidence I'd collected of his 20-year affair with his secretary, Linda. "Thanks, Margaret," he muttered, not looking up from his newspaper. Classic Robert. I was furniture to him, a convenient maid who cooked, cleaned, and stayed quiet. For decades, I'd cried myself to sleep, believing I was trapped. I was 62 years old with no career, no money of my own, and no options. That's what I thought. Then I found Linder's love letters in his jacket pocket. Letters dating back to when our youngest son was still in diapers. 20 years of lies. 20 years of late nights at the office here and business trips. My tears dried up that day, replaced by cold, calculated anger. Robert thought he'd broken me. He was wrong. I was just getting started. Let me explain how I got here. I married Robert when I was 22, fresh out of college with dreams of teaching. "You don't need to work," Robert insisted after our wedding. "I'll take care of everything. Just focus on making our home perfect." It sounded romantic then. A provider husband who wanted to spoil me. I gave up my teaching career without hesitation. We had 3 children quickly. Michael, Jennifer, and Daniel. I devoted myself to raising them while Robert built his accounting firm. I was the perfect wife, the perfect mother. I attended every school event, cooked elaborate meals, kept an immaculate house, and supported Robert's career ambitions. "You're amazing, Margaret," a friends would say. "How do you do it all?" I did it because I loved my family. Because I believed in my marriage. Because I thought Robert appreciated my sacrifices. For years, everything seemed fine. Robert was distant sometimes, working long hours. But I understood. Building a business was stressful. I never questioned or complained. I was the supportive wife. The first crack appeared 15 years into our marriage. I found a receipt for expensive jewelry I never received. "It's for a client," Robert explained smoothly. "Building relationships is part of business." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Years later, I found more receipts. Hotel rooms, fancy dinners, gifts. All business expenses, he'd say impatiently when I asked. "You don't understand how business works, Margaret. Stop questioning me." I learned to stop asking. Questioning made Robert angry, and his anger was terrible. He never hit me, but his words cut deep. "You're ungrateful," he'd say. "I give you everything, and you accuse me of lying?" I'd apologize, feeling guilty for doubting him. That's how manipulation works. He made me question my own instincts. 6 months ago, everything changed. Robert asked me to take his suit to the dry cleaner. In the pocket, I found an envelope. Inside were love letters from Linda, his secretary. "My dearest Robert," they began. "Last night was magical. I can't wait until we can be together openly." My hands shook reading them. The letters were explicit and detailed. They'd been together for 20 years, meeting in hotel rooms and during business trips. Linda wrote about their plans for the future. "When you finally leave Margaret," one letter said, "we can travel the world together. She's holding you back from real happiness." I felt physically sick. 20 years. While I was raising his children, managing his household, and supporting his career, he was building a life with another woman. I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront him immediately. Instead, I carefully put the letters back and took the suit to the cleaner. That night, I served Robert dinner as usual. "How was your day?" I asked sweetly. "Busy," he said, barely looking at me. "Linda and I worked late organizing files." Linda. He said her name so casually, like she was just an employee. I smiled. "That's nice, dear. You work so hard." Inside, I was plotting. I wasn't going to cry and beg. I wasn't going to confront and forgive like I had countless times before. This time was different. This time, I was going to destroy him methodically. The next day, while Robert was at work, I started investigating. I went through his home office carefully, photographing documents. Bank statements showing transfers to Linda. Credit card bills showing expensive gifts and hotels. Emails on his computer discussing their relationship. I copied everything onto a flash drive. Then I visited our family lawyer, Edward Thompson. Edward had handled our wills and estate planning for years. "Margaret," he greeted warmly. "What brings you here?" "I need advice," I said calmly. "Confidential advice about divorce." Edward's smile faded. "Oh, I see. What's going on?" I showed him the evidence. The letters, the financial records, everything. Edward reviewed it all with increasing concern. "This is substantial evidence of infidelity and financial misconduct," he said. "Robert's been using marital funds for his affair. That's a serious issue in divorce proceedings." "What are my options?" I asked. "Legally, you're entitled to half of everything," Edward explained. "Given this evidence, probably more. The house, his business, retirement accounts, everything acquired during the marriage is marital property." "But here's the problem," Edward continued. "Robert controls all the finances. If he knows you're planning to divorce, he could hide assets, transfer money offshore, and make the process difficult." "What should I do?" I asked. "Build your case carefully," Edward advised. "Gather more evidence. Open your own bank account that he doesn't know about. Document everything. When you're ready to file, we'll do it swiftly so he can prepare." I followed his advice precisely. I opened a secret bank account at a different bank. Every week, I withdrew cash from our grocery budget and deposited it. $20 here, $50 there. Small amounts Robert wouldn't notice. I also started working part-time at a bookstore. "I'm bored at home," I told Robert. "I want something to do." He barely paid attention. "Whatever makes you happy," he said dismissively. The bookstore paid minimum wage, but it was my money. Money he didn't control. I deposited every paycheck into my secret account. After 6 months, I had $8,000 saved. Not much, but enough to survive temporarily. I also hired a private investigator. A woman named Detective Rita Flores. "I need proof of my husband's affair," I told her. "I already have letters and financial records, but I need more." Rita was efficient and discreet. She followed Robert and Linda for weeks, documenting everything. Photos of them entering hotels together. Videos of them kissing in parking garages. Recorded conversations where they discussed their relationship. "Your husband's not even careful," Rita reported. "He acts like no one's watching. Very arrogant. That's Robert, I said. He thinks he's untouchable. Rita also discovered something interesting. Robert had opened a secret bank account in the Cayman Islands. He'd been transferring money there for years, preparing to hide assets. He's planning something, Rita warned. Maybe he's planning to divorce you and wants to hide money first. That made sense. Robert probably planned to leave me with nothing, making it impossible for me to survive without him. He'd underestimated me completely. He thought I was weak, dependent, and broken. He was so very wrong. While gathering evidence, I maintained my sweet wife act perfectly. I cooked Robert's favorite meals, laughed at his jokes, and never mentioned Linda. Robert grew more comfortable, more careless. He spent more nights working late, coming home smelling of Linda's perfume. He barely tried to hide it anymore. "You're understanding, Margaret," he said once. Some wives would complain about me working so much. "I trust you," I replied, smiling. He actually looked relieved. Idiot. I also reconnected with our adult children. Michael was 39, living across the country with his wife and kids. Jennifer was 37, a lawyer in the city. Daniel was 35, running his own business. I'd always been close with them, but I'd been distant lately, drowning in sadness. Now, I reached out regularly. "Mom, is everything okay?" Jennifer asked during one phone call. "You sound different. Happier." "I'm fine, sweetheart," I assured her. "Just realized life is too short to be sad." I didn't tell them about their father yet. That would come later, at the right moment. After 8 months of preparation, I had everything I needed. Mountains of evidence. A secret bank account with $12,000. A job of my own. A lawyer ready to file papers. Most importantly, I had a plan. First, I needed to protect myself financially. Edward helped me freeze joint accounts so Robert couldn't empty them. This required filing the divorce papers first, then immediately requesting a restraining order on the accounts. Second, I needed to expose Robert publicly. He cared deeply about his reputation. His accounting firm's success depended on trust. Clients wouldn't trust an accountant who cheated and lied. Third, I needed to ensure Linda faced consequences too. She'd knowingly participated in destroying a marriage. She deserved exposure. Finally, I needed to rebuild my life. At 62, starting over was terrifying. But staying was worse. I chose a date, our 40th wedding anniversary. Poetic justice. The day Robert expected celebration, I'd give him devastation. 2 weeks before the anniversary, I put my plan in motion. I began by telling our children the truth. I invited them all to lunch without Robert. Michael flew in from California. Jennifer came from the city. Daniel drove from his home an hour away. We met at a quiet restaurant. "What's going on, Mom?" Michael asked, concerned. "You never gather us like this." I took a deep breath. "Your father has been having an affair for 20 years with his secretary, Linda. I have proof. I'm divorcing him." Silence. Then chaos. "What?" Jennifer gasped. 20 years? Are you sure?" Daniel asked, though his face showed he believed me. I showed them the evidence. The letters, photos, financial records. Everything. They were devastated. "How could he do this to you?" Michael said, his voice shaking with anger. How could he lie to all of us for 20 years? I need your support, I said. The next few weeks will be difficult. Your father will try to make me the villain. He'll lie and manipulate. I need you to stand with me. Of course, Jennifer said immediately. Mom, we're with you completely. I'm going to destroy him professionally too, I admitted. His reputation, his business. Everything. I want you to know what's coming. Good, Michael said firmly. He deserves it. Their support gave me strength. With my children backing me, I could face anything. The next step was executing the plan. On our anniversary morning, I woke early and made Robert's favorite breakfast: pancakes, bacon, and fresh coffee. Happy anniversary, I said cheerfully, placing the food before him. 40 years. Can you believe it? Robert smiled absently. Yeah. 40 years. He'd forgotten to get me a gift. Typical. After breakfast, Robert left for work. I'll be home late tonight, he said. But maybe we can have dinner tomorrow to celebrate? Sure, I agreed sweetly. The moment he left, I called Edward. File everything today, I said. Edward filed the divorce papers at the courthouse immediately. He also filed for emergency restraining orders on all joint financial accounts, preventing Robert from accessing or transferring money. By noon, it was done. Robert was about to have a very bad day. Robert was served divorce papers at his office at 2 p.m. A process server walked into his firm while he was meeting with clients. Robert Mitchell, the server asked. You've been served. I heard later that Robert's face went white. He opened the envelope right there, reading the divorce petition in front of everyone. His clients looked uncomfortable. His employees whispered. Linda apparently ran to the bathroom crying. Perfect. But I wasn't done. I'd prepared packages for specific people. Clients of Robert's firm received anonymous letters detailing his affair and questionable financial practices. Can you trust an accountant who lies to his wife for 20 years? The letters asked. Check your accounts carefully. Local newspapers received the evidence too. Prominent accountant's 20-year affair exposed, the headlines would read tomorrow. I'd also contacted the state licensing board with evidence of Robert misusing marital funds for personal affairs. That could result in professional sanctions. Everything hit at once, overwhelming him. He couldn't fight on all fronts simultaneously. That was the point. Break him completely so he couldn't recover. Robert came home at 3 p.m., something he never did. He burst through the door, waving the divorce papers. Margaret! What is this? I was sitting calmly in the living room, drinking tea. It's a divorce petition, Robert. I thought that was obvious. Are you insane? He shouted. You can't divorce me. You have nothing. No job, no money, nothing. Actually, I have a job, I said calmly. And I have $12,000 saved. Plus evidence of your 20-year affair with Linda. His face went from red to pale. How did you find out? I smiled. Your love letters. In your jacket pocket. Thank you for being so careless. Robert sat down heavily. Margaret, let's talk about this. I can explain. There are no explanations needed, I interrupted. I have letters, photos, videos, financial records. 20 years of evidence. You've been using our money to fund your affair. That's illegal. You can't do this to me, he said desperately. I'll fight you. I'll make sure you get nothing. Too late, I said. I've frozen all joint accounts. You can't access or move any money without court approval. Robert realized the situation was serious. Why are you doing this? We can work through this. Work through 20 years of lies? I laughed. No, Robert. I'm done. I spent 40 years being your servant, your punching bag, your fool. I'm taking back my life. What about the kids? He asked, grasping at straws. What will they think? They know everything, I said. I told them. They're furious with you. Robert looked genuinely shocked. He'd always assumed the children would side with him. You turned them against me. No, Robert. You did that yourself with 20 years of betrayal. He tried a different approach. Margaret, I love you. It was just a mistake. I'll end things with Linda. We can start fresh. You don't love me, I said coldly. You love having a free maid and cook. You love having someone to control. That's not love. That's convenience. Please, he begged, actually crying. Don't do this. I'm sorry. I'll change. Save it for the judge, I said, standing up. I'm staying at Jennifer's apartment until this is settled. Don't contact me except through my lawyer. I walked out, leaving Robert sitting there sobbing. It felt amazing. No guilt, no sadness. Just pure satisfaction. The next few weeks were chaotic. Robert tried everything to change my mind. He sent flowers, wrote apology letters, and called constantly. I ignored it all. Edward handled all communication. Robert's professional life collapsed quickly. Clients left his firm after reading about his affair and financial misconduct. We can't trust someone who lies to his own wife, they said. His reputation was destroyed. The licensing board launched an investigation. They found evidence of Robert mixing personal and business expenses, using client meetings as covers for affair dates. His license was suspended pending a full review. Linda lost her job too. The firm fired her to avoid association with the scandal. She tried contacting me once. This is your fault, she said angrily. You ruined everything. No, I replied calmly. You and Robert ruined everything when you decided to have an affair. Face the consequences. She hung up, crying. I felt no sympathy. She'd known he was married. She'd made her choice. Jennifer, my lawyer daughter, represented me in the divorce. Mom's getting everything, as she told Robert's lawyer bluntly. The house, retirement accounts, half his business, and significant alimony. Given the affair and financial misconduct, we have a strong case. Robert's lawyer tried negotiating. Your client is being unreasonable, he argued. Mr. Mitchell can't afford these demands. Mr. Mitchell should have thought about that before his 20-year affair, Jennifer shot back. My mother sacrificed her career to support him. She's entitled to compensation. The divorce process took 6 months. Robert fought hard, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. Judges don't look kindly on unfaithful spouses who misuse marital funds. During one hearing, the judge actually said, Mr. Mitchell, you spent 40 years lying to your wife and stealing from your marriage. You're lucky she's only asking for half. A final settlement gave me the house, 70% of retirement accounts, half of Robert's business value, and monthly alimony of $5,000 for life. This is robbery. Robert protested. This is justice, the judge corrected. Robert was left with his damaged business, a small apartment, and monthly alimony payments he could barely afford. Linda had left him once his money problems became clear. Turned out she loved his wallet more than his person. Robert ended up alone, broke, and disgraced. Exactly what he deserved. Meanwhile, I thrived. I sold the big house with too many memories and bought a smaller, cozy apartment near Jennifer. I enrolled in online classes to finish my teaching certification I'd abandoned 40 years ago. You're 62, Mom, Daniel said. You don't need to work. I want to, I explained. I gave up teaching for Robert. Now I'm reclaiming that dream. At 63, I started teaching at a community college. Adult education, helping people finish degrees they delayed. It was fulfilling and meaningful. My students were diverse, single mothers, career changers, retirees pursuing knowledge. They inspired me. You're never too old to restart, I told them, sharing my own story. Many students thanked me. You give us hope, one woman said. If you can rebuild at 63, we can do anything. I also started a blog called Is Second Act Living, about starting over later in life. I wrote about my divorce, my return to teaching, and rebuilding confidence after decades of being controlled. The blog gained thousands of followers. Women especially connected with my story. My husband thinks I'm trapped, one woman wrote. Your story shows I have options. I received hundreds of messages from women in similar situations. Controlled by husbands, financially dependent, scared to leave. How did you find the courage? They asked. Courage is just anger properly channeled, I replied. I got tired of being sad and decided to get even instead. I started giving talks at women's shelters and community centers. Financial independence is crucial, I emphasized. Even if you're married, have your own money. Have your own identity separate from your spouse. I also talked about recognizing manipulation. If someone makes you question your own instincts, that's manipulation. If someone controls all the money, that's financial abuse. If someone makes you afraid to speak up, that's not love. My talks resonated. Women started planning their own escapes, following my blueprint, gather evidence, save secretly, build a support system, then strike decisively. You taught me that patience isn't weakness, one woman told me. Sometimes patience is strategy. Exactly. I'd smiled and cooked breakfast while plotting Robert's destruction. That patience paid off tremendously. 2 years after the divorce, I was genuinely happy. Happier than I'd been in decades. Robert's life continued declining. His business never recovered from the scandal. He eventually sold it for a fraction of its value. He worked as a regular accountant for someone else's firm now, barely making ends meet after alimony payments. I saw him once at a grocery store. He looked tired and old, pushing a cart with budget items. Margaret, he said, surprised. I smiled politely. Robert. How are you? I'm managing, he said. And you? Excellent, I said honestly. Teaching, writing, living my best life. He looked at my cart filled with fresh flowers and quality foods. He looked at my new clothes and confident posture. You seem happy, he admitted. I am, I confirmed. Happier than I ever was married to you. He flinched. I deserve that. Yes, you do, I agreed. We stood there awkwardly. Finally, Robert spoke. I'm sorry, Margaret. For everything. I took you for granted. I was selfish and stupid. Yes, you were, I said. But thank you for the apology. Do you forgive me? He asked hopefully. I thought carefully. I don't forgive you, Robert. But I don't hate you anymore either. You're just nothing to me now. A chapter I've closed. Robert looked hurt, but I didn't care. I'd spent enough energy on him already. I walked away without looking back, pushing my cart toward a future that didn't include him. That encounter showed me how far I'd come. 2 years ago, seeing Robert would have made me cry. Now, I felt nothing. Complete indifference. That's real healing. My relationship with my children strengthened. They were proud of how I'd rebuilt my life. You're an inspiration, Mom, Michael said. You showed us it's never too late to stand up for yourself. Jennifer and I became especially close. You were always strong, as she told me. You just didn't know it. I know it now, I replied. I also started dating, which felt strange after 40 years with one person. You're allowed to have fun, and my friends encouraged. I went on dates with nice men who respected me. Nothing serious developed, but that was fine. I was enjoying my independence too much to rush into anything. I traveled too. Places Robert never wanted to visit. I went to Paris alone, walking museums and cafes. I took a cruise to Alaska, watching whales and glacier. I visited Michael in California, spending weeks with my grandchildren. Freedom was intoxicating. For 40 years, I'd asked permission for everything. Now I did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I could eat ice cream for dinner. I could stay up late reading. I could spend money on myself without guilt. Simple pleasures felt revolutionary. My students noticed my transformation. Professor Mitchell, you glow, one observed. What's your secret? Liberation, I said simply. I escaped a life that didn't serve me. Now everything feels bright and possible. I continued advocating for women in bad marriages. My blog grew into a book, 40 years of patience, 1 year of action. It became a bestseller in the self-help category. This book saved my life, readers wrote. I thought I was trapped. You showed me I wasn't. The book led to speaking opportunities. I traveled the country giving talks about reclaiming power, rebuilding identity, and recognizing abuse. Financial abuse is real, I tell audiences. Emotional abuse is real. You don't need bruises to be a victim. Control, manipulation, and lies are abuse too. Women would come up after, sharing their stories. Many were planning their own escapes. How long did it take you to gather evidence? They'd ask. 8 months, I'd reply. But take the time you need. Build an airtight case. Strike when you're ready, not before. 3 years after the divorce, Robert had a health scare. A heart attack. Our children called to tell me. Do you want to visit him? Jennifer asked. I thought about it. Part of me felt obligated after 40 years together. But another part, the stronger part, didn't care. No, I decided. We're divorced. He's not my responsibility anymore. That's fair, Jennifer said. We'll keep you updated, but you don't need to be involved. Robert survived, but the health scare left him weakened. He retired early, living on Social Security and small savings. My alimony payments were now his primary income. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The man who'd controlled all the money for 40 years now depended on payments from the woman he'd betrayed. Life has a sense of humor. Meanwhile, I continued thriving. I got promoted to department head at the college. I published my second book, And Never Too Late, a guide to starting over after 50. I bought a small vacation cottage by a lake, my private retreat. I'd created the life I'd dreamed of as a young woman. Better late than never. People often asked if I regretted staying 40 years. Why didn't you leave sooner? They'd ask. I didn't know I could. I'd answer honestly. Robert made me believe I was nothing without him. That I had no options. Financial abuse traps you as effectively as locked doors. But I didn't regret the journey. Those 40 years taught me patience, resilience, and strategy. They taught me to smile while plotting. That skill served me well. My grandchildren inspired me most. I had 7 grandchildren now, ranging from 3 to 15. Grandma's the coolest, they'd say. She did whatever she wanted and won. I taught them important lessons. Never let anyone make you feel powerless, I tell them. Never give up your dreams for someone else. And if someone betrays you, don't just cry. Plan, prepare, and strike back strategically. They were growing up strong and confident, learning from my example. That made the 40 difficult years worthwhile. On the 5th anniversary of my divorce, I threw myself a party. 5 years of freedom, the banner read. Friends, family, students, and readers attended. Speech, they called. I stood, smiling at the crowd of people who supported me. 5 years ago, I walked away from 40 years of marriage, I began. Robert thought I'd cry forever. He thought I was weak, dependent, and broken. He was wrong. Everyone cheered. I learned that silence isn't weakness. Smiling while you plot isn't deception. It's survival. It's strategy. Sometimes you need to wait for the perfect moment to strike. For 40 years, I was patient. I played the perfect wife while my husband lied and cheated. Then I spent 8 months gathering evidence. Then I destroyed him in one decisive move. Today, I'm 67 years old. I have a career I love, independence I cherish, and a future full of possibilities. Robert has nothing but regrets and alimony payments. That's justice. The room erupted in applause. After the speech, people shared their own stories of leaving bad situations and rebuilding. You inspired us, they said. That night, alone in my cottage, I reflected on the journey. From desperate housewife to confident teacher. From financially dependent to financially independent. From victim to victor. It hadn't been easy. There were moments I doubted myself. Moments I almost gave up. But I persevered. I smiled through the pain and plotted through the tears. Now, at 67, life was beautiful. I woke each morning excited about the day ahead. I taught students who valued my wisdom. I wrote books that helped thousands. I traveled to places I'd only dreamed of. I spent time with grandchildren who adored me. And I did it all on my terms. No one controlled me. No one manipulated me. No one took me for granted. I'd reclaimed my power, my identity, and my joy. Robert occasionally sent emails asking how I was doing. I rarely responded. He was part of my past, a painful chapter I'd overcome. Some people said I was harsh. 40 years together must count for something, they'd argue. It does count, I'd reply. It counts as 40 years of lessons learned. Lessons about self-worth, financial independence, and never settling for less than respect. I had no regrets about destroying Robert's reputation and finances. He'd destroyed my youth, my confidence, and my dreams. Fair exchange. My message to women everywhere remained consistent. You're never too old to start over. You're never too trapped to escape. And if someone betrays you for 40 years, don't just cry. Smile. Plot. And strike back with precision. My husband of 40 years thought I'd cry forever. Instead, I learned how to smile while plotting. And that smile led me to freedom, happiness, and victory. That's my story. From doormat to warrior. From victim to champion. And I'm just getting started. The best years are ahead, built on the foundation of lessons learned from 40 difficult years. I survived. I thrived. And I'm finally completely free.